redoing this video to make things clearer than the previous one that I have deleted, because there's certain thing which perhaps not said or clarified or misunderstood. So there are many names for the God Force. Force is known by all beings on all planets by one name or another. The name by which to refer to God Force is not important. What important is know what it is. It's not the name. It's how you go about um, create your experience as a religious person, or what's the nature of this God, what it truly is, and not just blindly devote yourself and worship just any cockroaches out there and anything that moves. Although the force, the infinite source is everywhere, is everything there is, inclusive ourselves, we cannot go about just think that defining this being as one thing or another, one thing and not another, or a man with a penis, or a woman with a vagina. It's not that, although it can make part of it, it's not it by definition. So in this message we refer to it as the God of infinite source. The infinite source is not of sex or gender, it's just an energy, but it's all. All physical beings are part of the God of the infinite source. There's a simply various degrees of potency of the connection. There's many splendid, many aspects of it, as we know by now. In the beginning, there was only this force, the infinite source, and it was ever knowing, ever growing, expanding, always changing, questioning, thinking, and being. At some point, it started to pondering, think heavily upon one thought, and all that he had, all it had, because not a he, all it had was a theory about what it is, but it couldn't put it into practice, so it had to be placed into practice to better understand its part and what is one's able to be or do. Okay, and for that it has had to separate itself and break into many pieces. Juice um, the Big Bang. It's not theory. It's just an analogy. Not analogy. It's just scientific terms to explain how everything was created. So there was no remembered beginning. And to me, it's just a quantum quarks, because quarks are able to do just about anything. So it's a quantum quarks, and no end to the existence of this force. Questioning induces growth and change. And Prime Creator began to question it. Question induces growth and it change. So do not stop us from questioning. Once people start to question, no, humans cannot understand everything, so have to be limited. What they question must be limited. How to understand all this paradox? And why should we stop questioning existence, especially so? Right? So if I'm creator began to question the existence beginning, this led to a decision to expand far to enhance growth and learning potential. To best do this, Prime Creator decided to divide into many parts. It's not about learning, it's about knowing what it already had in potential, what it felt to be or have. So each part would remain connected to the nucleus, the source. Each part would have full communication with the source, with the nucleus. At the same time, each new part would have full freedom to grow and explore whatever part was attractive to it, whatever it wanted to partake, to make part of, and to experience, because we're not here to learn, we are here to experience. Although many of you think the contrary, then when you think of this, then you are limiting yourselves by thinking that we are here to learn when it's not truth. For doing that, then we have to be less than we are. We just have to be an amoeba, and even amoeba have a conscience to it. So this would allow prime creator to grow and learn at all. Not learning, knowing. Know is the doorway to remember what it is at a more rapid pace, because each part would be separate. Is be, let's say, just like an octopus. Imagine an octopus, a giant one, and the head would be the nucleus, and the sideways would be its tentacles, would be its part that it will let go more and more particles of itself. That's how the drawing I can create in my mind. So the experiences and knowledge gained by each part would in time come back to prime creator. This means we had to go forth and we had to partake in this project of existence, warning, and um, experiencing, not learning, but experiencing. When that party, and then when everything had completed, we go back. Let's say going to dispose our body, could be flimsy, less dense, or too dense, doesn't matter. Say my physical or fully dense physical, it didn't matter, it doesn't matter. We have to let it go and go back to the source and bring all the things that they have knowing and they have achieved back to the source, to the nucleus of the giant octopus. This is just analogy. God is not an octopus. Okay, so all is desire to learn and experience. Each part will be called our oversoul, or an aspect of self. I would say an aspect of self, to be precise, as each was a part of the infinite source. It would have ability and power to create as long as it kept its connection with the nucleus. So the infinite source began the separation of parts of himself, of itself, because not a he, not a she, is neutral, lovely and joyfully. There were great expectations and excitement at the variety of knowledge and experiences which could be available, all its potential that it was yet to be harnessed. So new parts were formed from all areas of prime creator, or the infinite source, as there were many variations of activity, questioning, and types of energy within the infinite source. These first created beings were group energies, which we call aliens, of world beings or entities, or large energy portion called oversouls. So these group energies were the larger part of this source, this kind of energy that generates possibilities. It's a kind of a dispenser, proposer. So large energy portion, so it is this, it divided and become this largest part of itself. Many it's called Draco. So there were many oversouls, many part of itself. Each would eventually develop into a number of individual spirits or entities, or souls which were like in energy. It's just energy. It was not dense yet, not into materiality, not into matter yet. Interested in being the parts or individual spirits or aspects of selves which were created of energy closest to one other or of course the most alike. So what they mean is the same species, the same group of species, even within the oversoul. The oversoul groups tended to be composed of individual entities who were similar in what they desired to learn. So they shared the same species, the same cultures, etc. Just like here you have the Asiatics, you have the Africans, you have the Occidental, each one sharing in many others. So each one break into subgroups and sharing their specific um, values, knowledge, etc., or cultural system, and how they wanted to go about learning. At first, the entities simply were. They just had awareness of itself. They learned that they were capable of independent thought. They became aware of their individualization and that they could be independent of communicating with prime creator, so they didn't have to have a source from which they could um, communicate with their being, their over their big higher self, and which other within the oversoul and with other oversouls. So they knew that they could communicate with one another and with their have the highest aspect of self. They began to realize they were capable of movement and change. They knew that they could be independent and go on about create on their own. They realized that they could create thoughts forms and experiment with them, and that was one method of learning or knowing harness potentials. Prime Creator decided to create physical life and physical forms. And by saying Prime Creator, it's not a man again, okay? It's not a man, it's not nothing that you can imagine it to be. To allow new levels of experience and growth for all parts of the God Force energy. It was decided that 12 universes would be created. So these beams start now, which came from the source, start to have awareness of themselves. When they had the awareness of themselves, they start to become semi-god. They saw themselves as semi-god or um, archetype of a god. This would be created with intent for the oversouls, for the other parties to go to this, to learn, to go to these universes, these 12 universes, to learn, grow, and gain many experiences. So they discovered many universes because to me, at least to me, I believe that everything was already created. Once they knew itself to be, when they became aware of their existence, they started out moving and making exploration. So they found this 12 universe and they decided to go forth and multiply. They spread out themselves and looking for new adventures and what they were able to create and do. So the oversouls would be free to go to the universe that the most appealed to them, which they synchronized the best and had a common affinity. And also would depend on their body type. They are not say they are bad, but their species and the specific type of elements that that particular planet contained. And then they could work together to create whatever physical form appealed to them. Or create here means that they would meddle with DNA. They would um, learn more about how to recreate from the prime matter. Do you understand this? Just like here, also people take the man knows about prime matter and what is supposed to do, what they can create from it, just like that. But the material they didn't create. The material, the how to say, the raw part, the raw product is already there, and it's up to the man to think what to do with it, right? So this what happened. The materials were already dispensable for them, available. All they had to do is to use their creativity to start recreating or renovate or renew, innovate things. Understand? So they could learn, experience all that they wished. Each universe would exist until each individual entities portion this oversoul of these beings or descendants, their descendants. Let's say there were maybe five dragons. The five dragons, they kind of multiply, so their oversoul spread. Had learned and experienced all it wished to learn in that universe, and can be another aspect, can be other creatures other than dragons. So when all knowledge was experienced and completed by all in the universe, means when we come here to earth and then we experience and we like, and then we decide to go back. Okay, we go back, we emerge with the self, with the all, that's the infinite source, and it's called emergency. It's an emergency. You you go there, you die, you have a small death, you go there, and then you remerge. That is what called the original plan. That was what about to be. You understand? That was the original plan that we detached from our source. We experience life and this in a kind of body or another, and then return to the self. But along the way came the Dracos and others, and then they mess up everything. They mess up the original plan. So it would return to prime create to the source. The source would then possess all knowledge contained within the universe. And then we now in the physical we store all the knowledge in ourselves, in our light bud, and then we when we die we go back to the source, we remeasure it, and then download all those knowledge back to it for it to absorb and getting to know what it was able to become. So 12 universes were created by Prime Creator. At the point in time where you currently exist, which is our universe, but there are multiverses as well. So all knowledge contained that within that universe, 12 universes were created by the source at the point in time where you currently exist, which is the solar system. One universe has completed and returned to prime creator. Then when this universe is completed, its time limit. It has to be, how to say, destroyed. Has to be destroyed and everything returned back to the source to be assimilated into it, and later detached back again to another venture. So this could be considered the first universe. As the first created, was the first completed. So at first there was just a single universe, and this was the first universe to be created, and maybe take infinite time to be complete, maybe billions and billions and billions of years, and it has such already been um, disintegrated, ceased to exist. The universe we will now focus on is the one that you live in, is the solar system, not specifically Earth, but solar system, which will be called the fourth universe. So have the first, second, third, and the one we are in now is the fourth. This is a free will universe. The others weren't. So that means not just we have free universe, but other beings within the solar system, the Milky Way, as well has the same free will that we have. This means that all is allowed in a free will universe. So we come here to have what we want and then we go back. Okay, and create freely but without harm. There has to be guidelines along the way. We have to self-police ourselves without any external law enforcement. But unfortunately, some people here is from an evil seed. They have to be policed all the time because they don't know how to auto-police themselves. They don't have discipline, auto-discipline. So there is no judgment, no good, no bad. All is experiencing, all is learning. Yeah, but we cannot abuse that. Doesn't mean because it's a free will, there is no judgment. There has to be no judgment, no good, no bad. We cannot abuse this. We have a free will, or even the green card to go around and do as we please, to rape, to murder, to rob. No, we cannot do. We cannot do as we please. Still, there has to be some kind of limitations along the way. Because if you cannot learn through good, you have to learn through the rough path, hard path. So there were no rules or restrictions placed open to and the universe, which is our universe, according to this source. The source gives free reins to everybody. But along the way, because we have been mismatched, our DNA has been mismatched. There, there are also good and bad here, negative and positive, the two sides of polarity, duality. Because some people is too retarded and stupid, they cannot think for themselves, they are too stupid. They are not like a schizophrenic, because many schizophrenic are very, very, very intelligent, and they wouldn't dare to harm a cockroach. Those are careless, cold-blooded beasts. They are careless. They are cunning. Do you understand? Those are not crazy people. Those are truly stupid. They come to the level of an amoeba because they have been mismatched with the other forces of world, aliens force that is as stupid as they are. So there would be no control or judgment of choices or decisions made by them as to areas of growth or experience decide. Yet prime creator, which is the source, it has no definition to it, it still allows it. But we have to learn along the way. We have to keep on banging our head against the wall. We have to fall, have many falls before we eventually and hopefully learn that we didn't come here to do evil things. It's not because I have options and I have alternatives that I can do as I please. No, there are consequences, and the consequences are those that we see around us. You are not going to choose if given to you two sides of the a banquet. Side A is all the desirable nice foods that you like to eat, the edibles ones, so fruit, veggies that is good for you, and the others are all the filthy kind of substances that you cannot take because will harm your body. So which one would you prefer? If you are intelligent, you'll take the side A, right? That is all about goodness C, and it will make you feel good eating that. But if you are stupid, you will go for side B and I eat all the filthy stuffs. Understand what I mean? It's the same thing between choosing between good and bad. If you are stupid, you go for the evil side. If you are good, you go for the good. If you are intelligent, you choose the good side. And I vibrate in that line, that wavelength. So as oversouls were drawn to the universe which had most interest for them, many oversouls found themselves being drawn to the same areas in the same universes. They decide to work together and learn to create together. So this is big bosses there came and join up together in many universes, and then they decide to form a group and then keep on create the big boss that you all call ascended masters or saints or god, semi-god, archetype god, etc. They decide to work together and learn to create together. This is how many of the planets and star systems in your universe were formed. With the help of the source and his blessings, many planets were formed. On these planets, many different life forms were then created. As the oversouls learned to create, things beginning to happen. As these bosses that you call semi-gods learn to create, several things begin to happen. The oversouls begin to act, think, and exist more as individual energies. So these big bosses, Dracos, start to lower their energies to become individual energy entities. Within the group energy, then as a group energy. So they start to lower their vibration to adapt to become an individual portion of that group. That's what I mean. Like say, okay, there is a semi-god, big semi-god, whatever. I will say Aldrico. And then he start to, he wanted to become a part of that group. So they divide themselves, or maybe they procreate. I would say they procreate because he is all about metaphor and analogy, and the people have to break to understand. That's why men makes mistake. They don't know how to read the those books, religions book like Al Quran, Talmud, Tanakh, Bible, and then they make a mess of everything. They take everything down to the root of the word without breaking into meanings, analogy. Do you understand? So here, that's why I have to rethink and do at least 2 readings to better grasp the conception given here. What best grasp the meaning of what is past here. So the oversouls begin to act, think and exist more as individual energies. That means the big oversouls that were the big Dracos start to lower their frequency. When I say lower, they will just procreate, and then their dissidents will make part of a new other group. This other group within the group energy that ends group energy. Portion of these oversouls, or the dissidents, individual spirits begin to think of themselves very highly. So, now I grasp. That means what? That okay, there was the Anunnaki family, the royal Draco family. Anu to be the king, and then more above Anu. So there are dissidents that they which were their sons, start to think differently. And then here on the picture come the Enki and Eliu in history. This history you can find in the Enoch, I don't know what, the Enoch Bible, something like that. They talk a lot about the Anunnakis and this Anunnaki Draco's family and Enlil and Enki. So at this point they are not telling the truth, they are going into, roundabouts around the bushes. They are not being directly concise to the point. And I don't like this roundabout and going around the bush, because this is the genesis and the roots of many and many misunderstanding. Because people, when they are not very intelligent or wise, they tend to take everything down to the root of the word. If they give a parable, the people go straight to the, let's say, don't go around the bushes. Then the people really take turns. If you cannot go around a bush of plant, do you understand? It's just an analogy to understand how people who are very unwise and unexperienced, they don't know how to break analogies and parables. So Nathan is part of prime creator. Most of these oversoul individual spirit begin to think of themselves very highly. So they are dissidents to their sons. One of their sons, Enki, they call it the Dark Draco, Dark Dragon. His mother was a slave for the Anunnaki's king, and the Anu, the king, had a relation with her. And as a result of this relation came Enki, the black sheep of the family. They call it the black sheep of the family. And he was really dark one. And then there is his half brother from a paternal side, is different mother, called Enlil. I believe that Enlil was Horus, the birdman. Enlil. Enlil could be Jehovah. And Enki I would call Satan. Okay, it's the black dragon. Enlil is the red dragon. He's very very large, and they say that he's the that manager of the earth. He's a logo of the earth. Enki want to rule everything. Enki want to bypass his entire family. He detests from the family because he was not very well liked. Everybody blamed him. Everybody called him Satan, the devil. Okay, and eventually he get fed up of all this, and he left the family and joined his own army. He created his own army, but as a superior to prime creator, so he want to be superior. This is what the Bible speaks about, how the devil want to be superior to God, because God created the um, humans, and he didn't want to bow down to humans and blah 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 blah. You understand? All that is analogies and metaphor. That's why you need to break. And a man doesn't know nothing about metaphor, so better don't allow a man or any other woman with a man brain to break all those parables and metaphor, because they doesn't know. It takes a very wise woman to do that, which is one, two, and millions of the other woman. Okay, so it's like Delphina, that the very wise woman in the Greek history, Delphine. So, but as a superior to prime, he want to be superior. I don't know whether he really want that, because he wanted to break free. He want to be independent because he was not well liked. Everybody nowadays do it. If you're not liked within a circle, a circle, you move on. You go away from that toxic environment. That's what Enki did. Sorry. And then there were a draw for us when it came to for them to come and invade the earth. What happened was that in Leo, um, Enki got Asia continent and the Suma continent a long time ago, and Africa. He was responsible for Africa and a large portion of Ashanti Suma or Lumeria, that is a present current day Turkey, and Suma was the Asiatic continent. But long time ago the people was different. It's not the one actual that we have right now. So he was given these two, three continents. And now I'm talking about Satan. Okay, he's not Lucifer. Luciferian here is a group, a militia, is a group soul. I believe Luciferian here is the dissidents of Satan, and they are responsible for Africa, Middle East, and a large portion of Asia, if not most of it. It's at least so China. And Leo Horus, that bloody man in the ancient Egypt, he was given to him the Occident to rule. So all those nations that you see have the bad man, as I emblem into the flag, his national flag. Yeah, that one is Enki reigns, Enki rules. Okay, every flag that you see have a eagle that represents Horus in Leo, the half brother of Satan. And Leo is Jehovah, the red dragon. India was given Inanna Ishtar. Inanna Ishtar, I'm not sure, but she could be. She's a known granddaughter. I guess she's the daughter of Satan in Key, or she could be the daughter of Enlil. I'm not very sure if she's the daughter of Jehovah. No, she's of Enki, yeah, because India and Africa is very close together, right? And they share almost the same culture, like drinking cow, peace, and all this come from Africa, from tribal Africa, and many other things that they took from Africa. So I guess my guessing is that Inina Ishtar is Enki daughter, Satan daughter. She's a demoness. She could be also Kali Mata. Kali Yoga is what we are having right now, this age. Is Kali Yoga. However, I still believe that they go outside their boundaries and they try to they dispatch, they do not directly have an altercation with Jehovah, but they try to control the territories that Jehovah controls. They are still infiltrate here out here. I mean the Occident. See, somehow they still try to infiltrate Jehovah's terrains where he rules. So those beings start to break free, and eventually they form their militia. All powers from the connection of Prime Creator. You can separate from the oversouls, become individual beings, they begin to drift away from the connection with Prime Creator. So in Leo, in Kijun say, to hell all this. I don't want to follow all. I don't want to follow rules. I'm sick of all this, all the rules of the hive mentality, and he decided to be apart from them. But still, I think that was before. What I believe right now is that they come into a reconciliation as a family. Now they are closer together than ever. Okay, and this is the beginning of the first part of this segment, and later we'll do the second part.